The symptoms of my bipolar disorder really started when I was in high school, and it showed itself in different ways. And I had seen therapists as an adult, and I was always diagnosed as having situational depression. And my partner at the time would even ask after I would come home from a therapy session, "Did you mention bipolar disorder?" And I would say, "Yes, I mentioned bipolar disorder." He said it's situational depression. And I went through that for years with even other people in my life diagnosing me. But I wasn't officially diagnosed with bipolar disorder until I was in my 40s. Went on meds, which I reacted very well to. I know it's hard for people to understand what somebody going through a mental illness actually goes through. Um, the last thing you want to say to somebody who's depressed is, "Oh, I know how you feel," because you don't. Because being disappointed or being depressed periodically is not suffering from depression. It's not experiencing one of the extremes of bipolar disorder. It's difficult for me to explain sometimes what that's like. I've been able to describe when I am in a depressive episode as that's another person. You're not dealing with me, you are dealing with this other person that manifests himself. And that's the person who incessantly talks to me and has the negative self-talk of, "I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm lazy, I'm a failure," regardless of what's happening in my life. It repeats itself over and over and over again. And someone in my life years ago made the comment, "You know how difficult it is dealing with you." And my response was, "Do you know how difficult it is in my head? Spend a day there." Because no matter what it looks like in the real world or in the outside world, it's far worse inside my head. If you're dealing with somebody in your life who suffers from a mental illness, I would recommend show them as much compassion as possible. Simply be there for them. Never tell them, "I know what you're going through," because you don't. Please don't ever use the phrase or intimate, "Pull yourself up by the bootstraps," because at that point you don't have bootstraps. You don't know where they are. Try to get them help as best as you can, but simply be there for them. Treat them like they have a physical illness. Because sometimes when you're encountering somebody with a mental illness, they may be combative, they may be non-compliant. You are dealing with emotions that you possibly have never dealt with from another person. Treat them like, I always use the metaphor, treat them like you have a migraine headache. If I have a migraine headache, you're going to be compassionate, you're going to be quiet, you're going to be understanding, and you're going to care for me. But if I'm going through a depressive episode and I become this other angry, non-compliant person, I'm going to rile you up. I'm going to get you angry. And that's pretty much what this other person wants to do at this point, because if I tell you no, I'm actually asking you for help. And I'm saying yes. And if I say go away, please don't leave my side. I think it's important that people who do have a mental health condition talk about it if they're able to really help other people in the community understand that they're not alone. I felt that way for so many years. I felt isolated. I would walk down the street asking, "Why is everyone so happy and why am I unhappy?" And I couldn't figure it out. So I feel that the more I share my story, the better off someone else is going to be.